Right. Oh, recording. All right, we are recording, everybody. So, all right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Joseph Miranda, broker owner of Miranda Executive Realty, here for our latest installment, our latest training of Ask the Broker. This is where we get our deep dive into certain real estate topics, things that are designed or created for the sole purpose of helping you to do more business. Before we jump into it here, real quick. Per tradition, we do our shameless plug for the agents that are attending, or any of the MX agents that watch this later. We do have a rewards program, which is our revenue share program. If you want to share this training with somebody to show them some value, you can always share that QR code. And if there's anybody that's watching that's not an MX agent, you want to learn more about our brokerage, you can always scan that QR code, or where this is posted, you can always look down in the comments for more information. So, reminder here. Quick, disclaimer that we are not giving legal advice, we are not giving financial advice, we are not giving life advice, we are not giving relationship advice, marriage advice, none of that. This is only real estate advice, and these are opinions. I am a licensed real estate broker, but that is the extent of my areas of expertise. For everything else, we just ask you to seek proper counsel, to speak with whoever it would be. Legal problems, talk to an attorney. Financial problems, talk to your accountant. Financial advice, talk to your financial planner, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and post them in the questions or the in-call messages, and we'll get to those as soon as we can. Or if you want to save them until the end, there is a questions and answers segment to that we'll have as well. So, what is the name of this training? It's how to leverage a listing for more deals. Right? We know a couple of cliche sayings in real estate. There's probably about 500,000 of them, but one of them is you list to last. I know that there's some agents that prefer to work with buyers, and that's okay, right? But when you think about the buyer-seller relationship, the seller is the one that has the product, right? The seller is the creator. The seller is the one that has, the thing that everybody wants. The buyer is the consumer, right? The buyer is the one that is looking for the thing. So the reason in real estate we say list to last is because when you control the listing, when you are a listing agent, you control the product. So your listing, every listing that hits the market will have an effect on the market. So by you controlling the inventory, by you controlling the product, you are controlling the actual market, right? If you price a property overpriced and it doesn't sell, well, that goes on the statistics as properties that left the market unsold. If you price a property underpriced and it sells very quickly, well, that's going to help for your average days on market. Right now, the lower price is also going to do what? It's going to reduce the average sales price. It's going to reduce the median sales price, and every closing that you have is going to affect the next comparable market analysis or the next appraisal for those comparable properties. So you want to do a good job. I've seen more than my fair share of listings where somebody didn't do a great job marketing a property, and sometimes you look at it and you're like, man, that should have sold for more. I've actually gone in with buyers in the past, and we've spotted these deals. And I've had buyers that have come in, and because the property was very well priced but not well marketed, and it ended up selling for less than what I believe that property ultimately should have sold for, my buyer, ended up getting the advantage in that situation. But you don't want to be the listing agent that has the property that's not marketed well, that's not marketed effectively, and it ultimately ends up costing your customer, tens or potentially more thousands of dollars, right? And the problem with real estate, they don't know. You don't know, because you only get one shot at selling the property. So whatever the outcome is, the customer assumes that's the best outcome that they're going to get in that instance. So so don't look at the listing as just a paycheck. Don't look at your listing as, okay, I'm here just to make money on this one sale. Once this sale closes, we're all done. That's not the point of a listing. The point of your listing is your listing is a marketing machine, right? 100%. Your listing is a marketing machine. It gives you the opportunity. Buyers can be a marketing machine. There's strategies that you can use for buyers that can get, a little bit of attention, and you can always send out flyers. And if your buyer says, I must live in this neighborhood, or I must have this profile of home, you can always send out flyers to those neighborhoods with that profile of home. You can send out flyers to, that specific neighborhood. Say, hey, I have a buyer that's looking, and maybe somebody will call you. You can circle prospect, you can do all those things. But when you have the listing, you have so much opportunity every single day to market this listing on every platform, everywhere. Absolutely 100% possible, right? So what, and I see your question here. You're saying, are there exceptions? Can you clarify what you mean by exceptions?
For example, if the seller needs to sell quickly. So what we often see sellers motivated in the listing.
Right. So yeah, I mean, so for me, this is the example I always use, right? We're the guard in the watchtower. It's the example I always use. We're not here to make decisions. We're not here to tell a customer what they should or shouldn't do. We're here to advise them. We're here to tell them, okay, my job is to look out for you and to keep you and everything, your property, your money, keep everything safe. So as long as they're fully informed and you say, okay, yeah, you had a job transfer and you need to move in 60 days, we know it's going to be about 30 days to close, which means we need to sell your house in 30 days. And as long as you let them know that the strategy is going to be to price it below market value so that we can get a quick sale, and the seller is on board with it, then you're fine, right? So, but if we just do a poor job in doing, the market analysis on it, and, we list the property and it sells incredibly fast, then the next one sells and it's comparable, and it's 50 or 60, sells for $50 or $60,000 higher than this one, maybe we didn't do such a great service. But yeah, yes, absolutely, there are definitely exceptions to any of these rules, right? What can a listing produce, right? One listing should produce buyer leads, and it should produce seller leads. It should also lead to referrals, right? And we're going to dive more into these things right now on how you're going to get those. Vendor partners are great. If you list the property in any county except for Miami or Broward, you're going to get title companies that reach out to you. Hey, I can do the title policy. Do you have a title agent? Do you have the right title? A lot of people, a lot of vendors. I mean, realtors are really kind of the hub, right? Realtors are kind of the hub of the industry, right? Everybody starts because why are realtors the hub of the industry? Because we control the product, right? The product's not a mortgage. The mortgage buys the product, right? The product's not insurance. The insurance protects the product, right? The product's not the title company. It's not the photographer. It's nothing except for the house. The house is the product, and we are the ones that directly represent the owners of that house, right? That's why there's so much opportunity for us. Like, how can a lender, market the product? Maybe by, co-venturing on some things with you, but they don't control the product. They control the mortgage, which is the product that purchases the house, which is the product that we're selling. But everybody's going to start by looking at a house, right? Well, not everybody, but most people are going to start by looking at the house. Yes, absolutely. Renters, turning your renters into buyers, and then your buyers into sellers, and then those sellers into buyers again, and creating that cycle. 100%. We're actually going to get to that in a little bit here on that strategy. So where do you start, right? Well, if you were in a linear scale here on a linear time frame, you start from the beginning to the end. So what is the beginning of the listing? Well, it's before the listing is even active, right? When you see in the MLS now, we have that coming soon feature. That's a great feature. And, a lot of times agents won't actually allow private showings until after they've done their first open house, right? And why is that? Why is that? It's to create that buzz around it, especially if you have a really nice house that shows really well and you've priced it to sell. You're gonna get a lot of attention. And a lot of people there's some I guess to step back to that pricing strategy. There is a strategy when you're pricing that property to actually price it below market value to get multiple offers, right? And in those multiple offers, you get that auction situation. You can, call for highest and best. You can, inform everybody, here's where they are, here's where they are, here's where they are. Like whatever your strategy is, as long as everybody has a fair shot and a fair opportunity at this property, you'll be fine. If you play favorites in some of these situations, then, you might be playing with fire. But just as long as everybody that submits an offer in a multiple offer situation has a fair shot at the property, you're going to be fine. I highly recommend, if you have a nice listing, coming soon, right? Do a coming soon. Now remember, if you have a coming soon property, if you have it on the market, you can't show it to anybody. Why? Because of, like I said, you have to offer a fair opportunity to everybody. So you can't say coming soon for the first week. I'm only going to show it to buyers that that respond to my social media. I'm only going to show it to buyers that actually call my phone number. This is exclusive to me for the first week, and then we'll let other agents show it. You can't do that, right? Because you're not giving it. It's not fair to the other realtors. They don't have the ability to do that. Yes, agents will do it, right? And I don't know. What do you do about it? I don't know. If you have the buyer and an agent allows you to preview their coming soon property, then that's to your advantage, and maybe you take advantage of that. I don't know. Again, I'm not an attorney. I can't really. I don't know what the what the rule is there necessarily. I know if you're the listing agent, I would really advise against doing it. If you're the buyer's agent, if that's advantageous for your customer, then maybe you're not doing something wrong, right? But if you're restricting showings except for to a few people and you're the listing agent, then I think you might run into some problems, right? There's a saying in real estate: sell the lifestyle, not the property. That's a big thing, right? That's a very big thing. So in your remarks, the public remarks that you see there, when you're writing those, if it's public knowledge, you might not need to write it in there, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-story pool house on the water. All of that can be seen in the photos. Literally all of it. Now, do you necessarily have to keep it all out? No. Pool home, that's a big deal. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. If they're reading the remarks, chances are they've already put their search into whatever online portal for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. They probably already know it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Do you need to do that? Maybe not, right? Again, exceptions to every rule. Figure out what works. Maybe there's a reason that you would need to do it. But for the most part, there's no reason to put 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. 1,600 square feet house. Well, they could find that in the remarks, and that's also a field that they can put into the portal to narrow that range. They could say, okay, between 1,400 to 1,800 square feet, 450 up to $450,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Those things, you probably don't have to put them in there, because by putting those in there, you're missing out, or you're taking up characters, because in the MLS you only have 800 characters, including spaces and quotations and all that. So use your characters wisely. Use your characters the characters in your remarks to talk about the neighborhood, proximity to, maybe there's a very popular school. Maybe the schools in that neighborhood, the public schools in that neighborhood, are A-rated. Maybe there's a very private, highly rated private school that's in that neighborhood. Those are the things that you want to highlight. Minutes to the beach, close to shopping, close to major highways, close to restaurants. Those are the things that you want to sell. You want to sell the lifestyle. You're trying to tell people, this is what it's like to live here. right? These are the things that you're going to experience when you live here. And by telling people 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-story house, you're kind of losing that, right? Now you can talk about the floors, tile floors. Great, tile floors. But what kind of tile, right? Could you say, flowing marble floors throughout, right? Vast flowing marble floors. Like, that's different than just saying tile floors throughout, because tile floors can be anything, right? So sell the lifestyle, right? And then when you do that, when you put that coming soon, right? That's gonna cause people to what? When you have those first showings, hopefully you're gonna have multiple showings, and you get enough people in there, right? Whatever that number is of people that you need, but so many showings are going to lead to an offer. If it takes 5 showings to get one offer, then you get 15 people in there. Statistically, you should get 3 offers, right? And some of those numbers you'll need to figure out as you go along, but you'll get that figured out, right? So once you have your pre-market kind of strategy going, right? What do you want to do? You want to get into your database. Make sure that you're working your database. And again, we talked about CRMs. What's the best CRM in the world? It's the one that you use. It doesn't matter what CRM you use, right? But if it has some sort of database features in it where you can find buyers and you can find sellers, where you can post that listing to your social media and you can drive people back to your website, to some type of landing page to do what? To try to capture a lead. That's the goal. The goal behind this is to get a lead. Obviously, the primary goal is sell the listing, number one, but we have the product already. So based on our marketing strategy, based on our market analysis, based on our pricing, everything that we've done, we should know that this house is going to sell. And if we know that it's not going to sell, what are we? We're the guards in the watchtower, and we say, listen, I told you that the price range should be between 450 and 475. I understand you want to price this at $500,000, but that price is going to be at the very high end, and we risk this property sitting on the market, not getting any showings, and certainly not selling. I'll tell people, I don't want you to feel like I left money on the table. That's the last thing I want, is to sell your house in 3 days and you feel like we listed the property too low and we sold the property, for too low of a price. So if you want to test a price that stretches us, we can do that. We can do that. We can do it within reason. Within reason. But, I need to be on record, number one, in writing, probably, that here's my range. And if we put it at a high price, I'm going to be regularly asking you to reduce the price. Because we know if the property is high priced, buyers already know. Right? Buyers are experts in their market. Whatever market that buyer is in, they are absolutely an expert in that market. If they're looking for a house in Coral Springs and they must be in this school district, this school zone, they know where the boundaries of that school zone are. Right? So they know where those homes are. And they've seen, how many houses do you show a buyer before they actually write a contract? They've seen 5, 10, 15, 20, 40, 50 homes, right? They've seen these homes. They're experts. Would you assume if you went into any given neighborhood and you looked at all of the active inventory that you could find what you believe to be the best deal in that neighborhood? I think you probably could, right? And that's the same thing for a buyer. They've seen enough homes that they know the good deal when they see it. And when they see a bad deal, when they see a property that's overpriced, likely they're not going to look at it. You have to be in that offer range. You've got to have some sort of range. You have to have a rule for yourself or for your customers that says, okay, if we're this percentage or we're this amount or this whatever higher than my range, we're absolutely going to be out of even, we're going to be out here in no man's land where nobody's even going to want to look at the property. And if we're in no man's land, what do we need to do? We have to reduce the price. And then people see that. Better list it right the first time if you can. Would you walk away from a listing if you can't? Maybe not. Right? Maybe you would. What's your rule on that? I spoke with an agent the other day that said he absolutely will not list a house that he is not confident that he can sell it in 60 days or less. because there's been so much going on in the condo and in just the real estate market overall in the over the past 12 plus months, that why waste your time with inventory that's not selling? It wastes your time, it wastes your money, it wastes the seller's time, right? You're setting unreasonable expectations with the seller that you can do something that can't be done, right? And you're affecting your reputation. You're affecting your own numbers. Now you sold 12 houses in a year, averaging one a month, or you listed 12 houses, but you only sold 10, right? Well, those unsold, those affect your reputation, right? What about your list to sales price? Can you brag about that number that, I get 98.5% of, list to sales price? If you're overpricing and they come in with a low offer that your seller ultimately ends up taking, that's going to affect your numbers. That affects your own statistics. Myself as a broker, we brokers, we can see those things. We have software, well, not all of them, but I do, that will tell us your list to sales price. That will tell us, how many days average your properties sit on the market. Doesn't matter if you have 25 listings, but none of them sell. Does it matter? No, not at all. Except that you probably paid for photos and you're probably spending time, and you've got a lot of upset sellers probably calling you trying to figure out what's going on, right? So you got your database, it's going. We love Bold Trail. We do. We love Bold Trail. But because of so much stuff that it does, and that's a different training. That's something else we'll talk about. But we're not above also leveraging our vendors, right? We love to leverage our vendors. It's probably one of our favorite things to do because they love throwing money at things, right? Lenders, insurance agents, title companies. When you get a listing, these are the people that are going to be your partners. If you do an open house, these are the ones that would host the open house with you. If you want to do some co-marketing, right? This is the way that you can work with these companies, because they can't directly, a lender cannot directly give an agent money, right? But a lender can co-market with you. So and so think about the different ways that you can co-market with the lender. An open house is a huge one. We did a training, and we're going to hit open houses briefly here, but we're not going to spend a lot of time. But we did a training on a mega open house, and it does cost money to do a mega open house. You can't expect to get a large turnout on an open house if you don't spend a few dollars. It doesn't have to be expensive, but those few dollars don't have to be our dollars. Dollars can be the lender's dollars. Lenders would absolutely love to have a strong relationship with even an average real estate agent. You don't have to be, one of the number one top producing agent in whatever, area. You just have to be an average agent. If you sell a few houses a year, a lender is going to love to work with you because they know that they've got an opportunity to get a few deals per year, right? Even if you're a listing agent, buyers are going to come along. Why? Because all the way back to the top, to the beginning of this thing where we talked about that listing is what? It's your marketing machine. And when you're marketing things, you're going to get your byproduct of marketing a listing is going to be leads, and some of those leads will be buyers. 100%, no doubt, no question, right? Big one, if you have a house, don't forget to put a yard sign. Do not forget to put a yard sign. And something I've learned, it wasn't that long, pretty recently, your yard sign matters. If you have a dull yard sign, people are going to drive by it. And maybe they go somewhere, and they call another agent. If you have yard sign, don't sleep on your yard signs. Do not have a boring yard sign. Put vibrant colors. Put something different on there. Make your yard sign stand out. Make sure that your yard sign draws attention. If your yard sign blends in, if your yard sign is just average or mediocre, people are going to drive by it. If you're not getting calls on your yard sign, I would do this. I would create 3 or 4 different yard signs. And I know when printing companies print for you, if you print 4 of the same thing, you get a discount. But I would create 3 or 4 different yard signs. laid out, set up, different colors, different design, different, maybe one's got your picture, one doesn't have your picture. And see which one performs better, right? See which one performs, gets you more signed calls. If 3 of them get no calls and 1 of them gets a call, maybe that's your better sign. Keep trying them, right? Keep trying them, and figure out what is the best design. Yeah, I get it. You're going to have, at the end of this, you have 4 yard signs, 3 of them are going to be trash. But if a yard sign costs you $80 a piece, you spend $320 on yard signs, and you find one that gets you a buyer, and you collect your commission off of that buyer, isn't that better designed yard sign worth the investment of buying the other 3, the $240 for the trash yard signs? Split testing, A/B split testing. Real quick, back to our financing. Sorry, I'm just seeing the vendor here. The seller cannot dictate who the buyer uses for a lender. The seller can say that must be pre-approved with this lender, but the seller cannot dictate who the buyer uses for a lender. That would narrow the market. So I guess at the end of the day, the buyer or the seller could say, I guess they could, but I think you'd have a hard time with that, right? The seller really could do anything they want as long as it's legal, ethical, whatever. But they really, yeah. That would be a very difficult thing. What I've seen a lot, what we do as listing agents, and I've done this with some of my lender partners, is the buyer must be approved with ABC Mortgage. You do not have to use ABC Mortgage, but they must be approved through ABC Mortgage. And by doing that, right, you're ensuring that the buyer is actually approved. And then if the other lender messes up, they can fall back right onto that one. But be a very bad strategy for the seller to try to dictate who the buyer uses for a lender, because at the end of the day, anyway, who cares if the money is green, right? The money's green. So, all right. So real quick, mega open house. We're just going to touch on this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. And some of these strategies, and I'll talk about these strategies as we kind of go along. Some of these strategies should be used whether you do an open house or not. Doesn't matter if you do an open house or not. There's no reason not to use these same strategies. So if you know me, or if you've known me for any amount of time, you know that I love calling. I am out of all the marketing that I talk about, of everything that I've ever done in my life, the best results that I've ever received from anything is from calling. I cut my teeth in real estate just calling, hours and hours and hours of just dialing and prospecting and saying stupid things and making mistakes and whatever, until finally there's a psychology to a phone call. We've done that training as well. So the number one thing that we're going to say when you do an open house, circle prospecting. There is literally no reason. Let's talk about just not even for an open house. You have a listing. You have what? The product, right? And what do you want to do with that product? You want to sell it. But what else do you want to do with that product? You want to get another lead, right? Because everybody else's leads suck, right? You don't have any luck with anybody else's leads. So you figure out and you think to yourself, oh, wow, everybody else's leads suck. These are all terrible leads. Let me go out and find my own leads. Well, how do you do it? Why don't you try circle prospecting? What is circle prospecting? It's that. You see a little radius right there? Well, that radius there only encompasses 4 houses. You probably want a bigger area than just 4 houses. Well, let's say your house is at, okay, I have a listing on 123 Main Street. And I want every phone number that is not on the do not call list, right? So the able to call list, I want every phone number within a half mile. And that's going to generate me, 1,500 phone numbers. I'm going to put those 1,500 phone numbers into a dialer. And I'm going to use my script. right? Now, depending on what you're doing an open house. Your script is going to be to invite them to the open house first. Let them know there's food. Look, I've done it. Neighbors show up. 100%. Can I register you that you'll be there at the open house? Yes, you can. Okay, cool. Great. Right. Love to see you. Why? Because neighbors want to see what their neighbors' homes look like. You know, doesn't matter, right? They don't have to show up. That's okay. But number two, what else are you trying to do? Once you've invited them and they're coming or they're not coming, the second thing that you want to do, you want to find out, are you thinking about selling your house at some point in the near future? Right? Well, why do you ask? Well, I mean, look, if you're thinking of selling in the next month or so, if they don't like this house, maybe they'll like your house, and I can tell them that's going to be coming up soon, right? No, we're not. And it gets them talking. I've had people know they're going to take me out of here feet first in a body bag. Okay, cool. You're never going to sell. No problem. All good with me, right? But some people will tell you, well, yeah, we're going to be selling, but not in the near future. We're probably going to sell in about 2 or 3 years when little Johnny, graduates high school. Cool. Then I'm going to give you a call back in 2 to 3 years, right? Maybe I'm probably going to give you a call back, sooner than 2 to 3 years, because a lot of people's timelines advance, or things change. 2 to 3 years might turn into 6 to 8 months, or it could turn into 5 or 6 years. That's where you follow up, right? So you can call them for an open house. You definitely should be calling the neighbors to invite them to an open house. But also, if you're not going to do an open house, or if you haven't called them and invited them to the open house, you should call them and let them know that the house is listed for sale. And then what? Are you thinking about selling your house at some point in the near future? That's how you get a seller lead in the same neighborhood or near. A mile out is probably going to be a different neighborhood, depending how big the neighborhood is. But you should be able to get another lead. Right now, it's a lead. So that requires what? Because you're doing what? You're lead generating. So that means once you've generated that lead, yes, we're thinking about selling, not right now, maybe the next 18 to 22 months. But you can give me a call back by when. Make sure you do what? Make sure you follow up with that lead. You have to follow up with that lead. That's where your CRM comes in. It's going to remind you to do it. What about reverse prospecting? Does anybody here reverse prospect? I've had a few agents reverse prospect me. It is an effective tool, especially if you have a listing that you're having trouble selling. You can get some free feedback on it if they haven't shown the property. But what reverse prospecting is you can go into the MLS and you can go into your listing and you can click a little tab that says reverse prospecting. And what that does is on that listing, it'll tell you every agent with their contact information that has sent your listing to their customer. So then you can call the agent. Hey, Susie Smith, realtor, Joe Miranda, MX Realty. I saw that you just sent, 123 Main Street over to one of your customers, and I just wanted to see if they're interested in taking a look at the property. Right? No, they're not. They just feel like the price is, it's too high. That one, it just wasn't for them. All right. And then what do? You handle that objection. That gives you an opportunity now. You're on the phone with an agent that sent your property to one of their customers. Now you have the opportunity to handle that objection. Oh, well, I'm glad you said that. We're actually going to be doing a price drop in about 2 days, right? Would you be, if you knew that the price was going to drop $25,000 in 2 days, would that be something that's important for your customer? And when the price does, and they can get in before the price drop. Might be. Let them know. Whatever the objection is, price improvement, whatever it is, use that to your advantage. Call them. Hit the objection. Same thing, like I don't show all my listings. I don't show them all. Like if it's a vacant house, I usually don't show it because I feel weird. Like I've with enough experience, I just going to an empty house and sometimes they're like, well, why are you here? Right? But I don't mind showing my listings because that gives me the opportunity to do what? To sell the house. You don't go to a car dealership and no car salesman comes out and approaches you. You go to a car dealership, man, you get out of your car, you start walking around, within just a few minutes, there's a salesperson approaching you. Why? Because they want to sell you a car. It's the same thing for a house, right? They're going to answer any questions you have, any objections that you might have, right? And they're gonna push for what? They're gonna push for you to buy a car. Well, we're gonna push for the buyer to put an offer on this house. You're gonna hear the feedback live and in person. There's a lot of value to showing your own listings. An empty house, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You got to figure that one out. I'm sure, again, there's exceptions to all of these rules. There would be a reason why you would show an empty house. But, you know, a house that the owner lives in, their owner certainly would appreciate if you're in there, if you're the one showing it, if you're showing up for, you know, for those, right? So reverse prospecting, let them know, hey, we're holding an open house. Send your customers over, bring them by. Right? So no, the customers can come by. Just make sure that they, you know, and I'm always cool with the agents. You know, I know the other agents are our competitors, but they're also the ones who have the consumer for our product. Right? Without the other agent, then there's nobody to buy this product. So, you know, we do want to work with them. We do want to collaborate with them, right? So what about, well, sorry about that. What about door knocking? Again, door knocking and flyers. So I hate door knocking, but it didn't bother me necessarily to drop flyers, right? Now, to each their own. But when we were doing mega open houses, we would print out, you know, depending how many agents were collaborating and how many people we had total, but per person, we would print out 100 flyers. That was my rule. Every person. So if there's 2 agents, we'd print 200. 2 agents in a title company, 300. And we all took a direction. And I didn't knock on doors, but we would staple rubber bands. We'd trifold, staple a rubber band, put it on their door somewhere. If it says no solicitation, skip. Right? Because I'm not trying to get a fine or go to jail. You can't do it in every neighborhood. Make sure if you're in, you know, like an HOA community, a lot of them have a no solicitation rule. So, you know, again, you don't want to get a fine for soliciting in an area, but usually there'll be a sign somewhere that says no soliciting. Just read the signs as you're going in, right? But door knocking, I don't know, feels invasive, but I'm not above putting a flyer on the door. Anyway, I probably already called them, circle prospected. Oh, by the way, back to circle prospecting, drop a voicemail. Your software that you use should drop a voicemail that invites them to the open house, right? So if you put the flyer now, 1 or 2 days before the open house, they might recognize your name. They might recognize, you know, who you are, and it's a second touch. Now you've touched this house twice, right? Or maybe that house was on the do not call list. Well, they're not on the do not solicit list, so you put that flyer on there. They might show up. Again, I've had neighbors that have come by, and you know, they visit the house. I've had neighbors that have sold their house through me 5 or 6 years later after we've done an open house, because I've got to know them and I've kept in touch with them. Very effective. Circle prospecting, door knocking, flyers. It's a very effective strategy. You know, it takes a little bit of time. That's that sweat equity versus checkbook equity, but it pays off in dividends. You know, as long as you have a system for collecting their data and following up with that person for however long it takes, it does work. If you don't have a listing, it's okay. Borrow somebody's listing and say, hey, can I do an open house? In our WhatsApp chat, we I don't know about always, but a lot of times we have agents that put, does somebody want to do an open house at this house on this date? If you want to do an open house and you know nobody put one, just put it in there. Hey, can I do an open house? Right? Very, very simple. But door knocking and flyers is a very effective strategy. And again, it's your branding. Continue to build your brand. This is easy because you have the product. Market the product for sale. Let people know that, hey, I have this thing for sale. This is for sale, right? Leave no stone unturned. Whatever you can do. Paper marketing is still a thing. Bring a flyer, right? Most people will take it and throw it away, but you want the ones that'll save it. We don't care about the ones that say no. We care about the ones that say maybe. The no's, fine. Hey, all good. Thank you. Next. But the maybes, I'll be back in touch with you when you're ready. right? Everybody's favorite thing is what? Social media. Social media. What's your social media strategy? You should have one. And everybody, it might be different. Something that works for me might not work for you. Something that works for you might not work for me. What if before every listing appointment, I never did this strategy, but I heard this one time and I heard it works. Before every listing appointment, you did a live video already marketing. Hey, I'm walking up to 123, or maybe don't put the address. Hey, I'm walking up to this house, in this neighborhood in Coral Springs. And, and here you can talk about it, right? 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, whatever. We're going to be listing this one soon. If you're looking for a house in this neighborhood, reach out. That call to action. Right? Post it. Then when you walk in the listing appointment, you can say, hey, I actually already posted a video about your house for sale. Here's just got a few results so far, but I'll let you know what happens with it. You're already working on it. You're already working on that, right? Yeah, behind the scenes, highlights. Some people are very good with social media. Social media is not my strength. I don't have the initiative, I guess, to do a lot of these things. But if you want social media to be part of your marketing strategy, to be something that brings you customers, then you have to show them the product. But the product has to include your personality. You can't just, I guess you could. Part of it would be to, go into your CRM and just post, the landing page that's going to drive them back to your website. That's cool. But it's not going to be as effective and get as many clicks as the in-person video that you make. Even if it's bad, if it's poorly produced, right? But make it stand out. Show them your personality. It's okay. You don't have to be dull and bland and boring. Here we are in Coral Springs with this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with tile floors throughout. Let them know your personality. Say something funny, right? Like whatever it is, like that. Those are the things. Like there's so many people doing normal stuff. It's not the normal stuff that goes viral. It's the abnormal stuff that goes viral. It's the weird things that you say, the weird things that people do. It's those things that go viral. So if you want to go viral, do enough posts, do enough videos, and put your personality out there, right? You don't have a house to market for yourself, then do it at other listings. Do it at somebody else's listing. It doesn't really matter, right? But social media. So if you're doing an open house, you definitely need social media, right? Especially if it's going to be a mega open house. Do you create an event on social media? Do you create an event for your open house? And do you invite people to that event? You should. All the real estate agents, invite them. It doesn't matter, right? All traffic is good traffic. You want traffic. Wouldn't you rather have an open house where 35 real estate agents show up than 0 anything? 35 real estate, I don't care, man. Come in and eat my subs. Somebody's got to eat them. There's too many carbs. I can't eat them all, right? Like, just post it, right? But make an event. Pay it, promote it, boost it, whatever you need to do. Make some videos, but don't show too much in the videos if you're doing an open house because you want to tease. Again, you got to tease, right? But your personality, everybody's got their own personality, and people will work with you because they like your personality, or they won't work with you because they don't like your personality. Doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, if somebody sees you on social media and they're like, that person's annoying, I don't want to work with them, they saved you the heartache because they're going to like you anyway. They're going to spend enough time with you and be like, I can't work with this person anyway, right? So who cares? Who cares? We're not looking for the no's. We're not looking for people that don't want to work with us. We don't care about them. We care about the maybes, right? They might work with you. We care about the yeses. They do want to work with you. True story, 100% true. Promise you. It's not a social media story actually, but it happens. It's a phone calling story because I told you that I like to do phone calling. I don't call anymore, but I literally had a guy yesterday that called me. I've been talking to him for probably about 2 or 3 years, and I lost touch with him because I got very busy and wasn't really calling. But he called me up and he literally told me I have a listing appointment with him next week Thursday, And he's like, yeah, go ahead and bring all the paperwork. We're ready to go. Why? Because I had so much time on the phone with him prior. He liked me. He told me, he's like, I like your style. I like the way you work. I like the way you speak. Da, 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 da. But how many people did I speak with on the phone before him that didn't like me? A lot. A lot. I told the story last week at our in-person training about the person that his niece called me because I left a voicemail on his answering machine. And she was like, oh, well, you're the only agent that, you know, that I have, and I assume he left him a voicemail. He must have liked you. The guy didn't like me. He probably wouldn't have listed it with me. Right? He didn't like my personality. So two different people, but I'll still fall in love with him because I don't care. Right? If you're going to talk to me, I'll talk to you. I don't care. Talk to me. Two different people. One liked me, called me back, definitely ready to go. Another one didn't like me, died in the process. Rest in peace, dude. But because I was, well, I don't know, relentless in my follow-up, his niece actually got my voicemail, and I am getting that listing. That was a long time ago. The one from yesterday was obviously recent history. So, you know, personality. Put your personality in there. You'll get some, you won't get others. And maybe, you know, like my dead guy story, you might get, you just might get lucky on one. You don't know, right? But your personality, social media is very important because a boring walkthrough video isn't going to get any attention. You know, there was an agent that I saw, this was a couple of years ago. He did walkthrough videos and all of this stuff. And he got feedback one time that said, your walkthrough videos are way too long. I can't watch the whole video. So he did one where he was running through the house. He was running through the house, and he was talking very fast, and he ended up tripping and falling. And you know, you see the phone, it falls down or whatever. That video went viral. He posted that one. He posted that video. That one went viral. There was another one, not here in Florida, obviously, where an agent was doing a walkthrough and slipped on the ice and fell. Went viral as well. Those are the things that go viral. It's not your normal average stuff. Like, people don't want to see the normal average stuff. I've never gone viral because I don't do weird things on camera, but maybe I should start. I don't know. Stay tuned. Social media, very, very big thing, but you have to know how to do it. And the one thing I know, based on all of the videos that I've watched, because I've never gone viral, you got to do something different though. The viral videos are the ones that are different. The viral videos are not the average, what everybody else is doing. It's the ones where something extraordinary happens in that. Whether it's funny, whether it's, you know, like if you're shooting a video and, you know, a comet comes and crashes down through the house while you're shooting the video, that's probably going to go viral, right? Because it's not something that you see every day. So people are going to share it. People are going to like it. People are going to respond to it. Do things out of the ordinary. And for the ones that don't appreciate it, that don't like it, who cares, right? Just make sure 3 things: legal, ethical, moral. As long as you do those 3 things, right? You wouldn't want to like throw a rock through a window while you're doing a walkthrough video. Like, hey, look, it's impact glass, it won't break. And then you throw a rock at it and it breaks. You'd probably go viral, but you also might go to jail. So count the cost before you do it, right? Just listed postcards. So this is a boring just listed postcard that we kind of created last minute on the fly. But postcards, you don't want to door knock, you don't want to hang flyers, but you want to get your stuff out there, and you could do both. Right? You could do an open house postcard, invite people to open house if you prepare enough time in advance. But just listed postcards are big, right? It's a big thing. But what's bigger or more attractive than a just listed postcard? Sending a just sold postcard when it sells. Now they know, hey, listed it, and they know, hey, sold it. Right? Joe Miranda, realtor, sold this house at 102% of asking price. We got over asking in 3 days, doing a mega open house. Call me now if you want to get the same results, right? Or you want to know how much your house is worth, want to see how much we can sell your house for, whatever it is, you got to have a call to action, and they have to have a way to get in touch with you. We didn't have time to make a just sold flyer. But based on how our just listed flyer looked, you're probably lucky that we didn't. Get them professionally designed, right? Yeah, QR codes are a big thing. Our CRM has a QR code. If not, Canva has a QR code generator. Like, they're all over the place. Doesn't matter, right? But put a QR code, that's easy. Where does the QR code go? right? What does that link them to? What does that take them to? Because that your QR code could go anywhere. What, to your website, to a landing page, to your Linktree account, right? To your YouTube page, to your Instagram, to everything, right? Like, I don't know. Figure it out, right? Like, what works for you? Where should you send people when they scan the QR code? A lot of people don't scan QR codes, so don't rely solely on that. Make sure, whatever it is, that your phone number, email, basic contact information needs to be in there. Mandatory. 100% mandatory. Basic contact information. Please don't forget. But just listed, just sold, very, very powerful. Here's a few examples, but, obviously not a comprehensive list. Have your online profiles completed. Have an online presence, man. All right. So, if you're going to sell homes, where are people looking for homes at? Well, we know they go to Zillow and homes.com. Those might be the two big ones right now, right? Google. Have your profile set up there. Usually, everybody should have a Google My Business page, because as a real estate agent, I say it enough times, right? You are a business. Whether you operate or think you're a business or not, a real estate agent is a business. John Smith, realtor, right? John Smith is a real estate agent. John Smith, real estate agent, is a business. You're a business, right? So, because you do marketing, you do sales, you have income, you have expenses, accounts payable, accounts receivable. I mean, everything. There's real estate agents that have teams that have, multiple administrators and transaction coordinators and all these different things. You're a business. You're a business. You are the brand. So make sure that if your listing is going to show up on realtor.com, that you've created a profile inside there. Now, are you going to get all of them? No, because realtor.com sells your leads, right? They sell the people that inquire. But sometimes you'll get a Zillow call. Rentals, for sure. You have a rental listing, Zillow doesn't sell those, they give them to you, right? Homes.com is worth the money to spend, in my opinion, right? Google My Business, you definitely should have. What other real estate portals or, what other sites are buyers looking for homes and potentially entering their information to get more information on it? Set those up. Every single one of them. If you're missing one, then set it up, right? Make sure, and again, back to our branding training that we did, make sure everything is uniform across the board. If I was a new agent, I would get one really good headshot. That would be the headshot I'd use for the next 10 years. Make sure that headshot is the same headshot in everything. That's SEO, man. Your phone number, your email address. Don't use your personal email and your company email. Just choose one. What's going to be your email address? Figure all that out. What are you going to use, right? But you need the online portals. Search, homes for sale in my neighborhood, or, whatever. And just look at Google and look at, okay, you're going to get like the big brokerages, listing things, but you're going to also have the portals. There's enough of them there. Every portal that's on page one, you should have a profile set up in it. No question, right? So once you've sold a property, right? Once you've sold a property, ask yourself, is this a good neighborhood to geofarm? Does this neighborhood make sense to take over and be the dominant selling agent in that neighborhood? We did a training on geofarming. Everything you need to know in there. But now you have a sale. So once you've sold in that neighborhood, you have what? You have credibility. Even if it's your very first sale, you have credibility in that neighborhood. Because how many times have we talked to people on listings, and what do they ask us? Have you sold in my neighborhood before? Well, yeah, actually I have. That's how you got my information. You called me, silly. So is this a good home for farming? Go back, watch our geofarming training. That'll tell you, the numbers, what you're looking for, the different parameters, different things that would qualify the property or that neighborhood as a good geofarm. And remember, you don't have to farm the entire neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood of, 700 houses, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't handle 700 houses. Just choose 100. Choose 50. It doesn't matter, right? Like, choose a number that's manageable for you in that area and farm those homes, right? Because as long as if the numbers scale, out of every 100 homes, 5 houses sell in a year. It shouldn't matter which 100 that you work. If you work 200, then statistically 10 houses should sell per year, right? Geofarming. You are now a credible salesperson in that neighborhood, so why wouldn't you, right? What about expired, canceled listings? After you've sold, if you go through and then, hey, I saw your property, it expired, canceled, whatever, property didn't sell, I've sold it in your neighborhood. We've got some buyers that, unfortunately, they wanted the house, but they couldn't get it because, we can only take one offer. Are you thinking about selling yours? Right? Like, that expired and canceled. Call them after you sell it. Call them when you list it. Hey, I'd love to market yours alongside with mine. Doesn't matter. Just call them. Buyers and cancels. Like, these are leads. We have the info. We have the data. We have everything that we need on those. What else? 5-star reviews. Get a review. When you have successfully sold the property, the first thing you do is you do damage control. You call the customer first. You don't just send them something, hey, leave me a review, because you might have thought they liked you, but maybe they didn't. So you call them. How was your experience? How was everything? You happy? Great. I'm glad you're happy. If I send you a link, would you be willing to leave me? What do you say? You say, would you be willing to leave me a 5-star review? Like, when I send the link, I put in there 5 stars only. Don't get, like, you may be like some people, there's just, I don't know, there's crazy people, right? Nobody's 5 stars, right? Nobody deserves a 10, right? Everybody's only up to 4 stars. You can't be perfect. Then don't leave me a review, dude. I don't want one, right? No, I'm not gonna leave you 5, but I'll leave you 4. I don't know. Send you a link then, dude. I don't want your review. You mess up my reputation. Well, everything was good except for this. Okay, sorry about that. Whatever. Would you still be willing to leave me a 5-star review? Yes, I would. Cool. Send it. No, I wouldn't. All right, no problem, man. Look, appreciate you. Whatever. Still, whatever. But make sure you still keep in touch with them. Still a past client. Like Anna said earlier, turn your renter into a buyer, that buyer into a seller into a buyer down the road. Like, people are constantly going to be jumping from home to home to home to home until one day maybe they move out of the area. Maybe they have friends and family in the area that they can refer you to. Keep in touch with everybody. Everybody, right? Make sure you're following up, right? Make sure you're following up. Use your CRM for literally everything. If your CRM doesn't do everything, maybe you should think about getting a different one. It should do everything, because that is what your central command, your CRM, is there to help you do everything. If it's lacking, the CRM we had before Bold Trail, I don't know if you guys remember it, but gosh, what was the number? It was like, there were like 7 or 8 ancillary products that we had to subscribe to just to do what our current CRM now does. It does everything, right? So use it. It's there for a reason, right? So what do you do from here? What do you do from here? Number one, this is something that you should do every week anyway. Reevaluate your listings. Where are you at with it? Does it need a price drop? Is there something that needs to happen? Are you getting the same feedback about, does the house smell? Right? Is the paint, just offensive to people? Well, maybe you should just handle that. But constantly be evaluating your listings. Use your CRM. Go into groups. Market your property in different real estate groups. Prospect, and then follow up. The phone is a huge tool. Okay, sorry, my VPN reconnected. I turned it off for 1 hour. Should have did it for 2 hours. Follow up on the leads. make sure the phone is the most powerful tool that you can have in real estate. When I travel now, I don't even take my laptop. I don't even take it. I just take my phone. I can do everything. I can run my entire business on a phone. Keep in mind, the final thing, a well-marketed listing will generate at least 2 deals, meaning you're going to sell your listing and you either got another listing or a buyer or both. If you sell your listing and you got another listing and a buyer out of it, that's 3 deals from 1 listing. And that next listing that you got from that listing, what if that one produces 3 listings or 3 deals, I mean, right? And it keeps going and going and going, right? That's lead generation. That's what lead generation does, right? Generate your own leads using the leverage that you have with a listing. You have to leverage the listing to get more leads. All right, it's 1:02. I've taken up enough of your time. I'm going to give you the rest of your day back. But before we do, are there any questions that you guys have? Any thoughts? Any opinions? Did I miss something that you do that gets you, more leads when you have a listing? Hey, we hit it all. We got everything. All right, I probably missed something, and I'm curious later on if you think of something, please definitely let me know. All right, well, we're all done here, guys. Just a reminder that next week's training is going to be the first week in February, so that's our roundtable mastermind. This is, I want to hear what's going on in your business, what's going on with what's going on with your listings, with your buyers, your sellers, just your business overall. And it's not just for me to talk in these ones. This is your opportunity to share. If you've had a victory, if you went to a great training, if you learned something, if you have a problem and you're stuck, bring it there, right? And then we'll group think it, because this is a mastermind. It's a roundtable mastermind. Bring it there. Let's talk about it. Let's work it out. And then on February 10th will be our next training on our Ask the Broker training. So appreciate everybody being here. Thank you all so much. It means the world to me that you're here. If you need anything, just pop in the lobby room. Please don't stay stuck. Let us help you with whatever it is that you need. Thank you all.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good day.